So BERIN, and of course we got the faces, the cameras on the faces of the players. BERIN is beloved for his facial expressions. And FUCHI bringing out the flying machine early on. He has to go to defensive minor to block it. Flying machine is a very long range, but not long enough to reach those goblins on the other side.
All right, we got the princess out the right side. Maybe try to get a snipe onto that flying machine. No, the goblin's going to take care of it instead. Flying machine out the right side couldn't get a whole lot of value in there either.
BERIN has already shown us enough cards. Even if this is your first Clash Royale tournament, you know what he's playing, right? Spellbait. We have the classic Goblin Barrel Princess and Goblin Gang. We have to see what spells FUCHI are going to play because it's going to be very, very important here. Lava Hound comes out for FUCHI. That is a big flying tank that is going to turn into a smaller swarm of attacking lava pups. BERIN is going to have to make sure that that Lava Hound does not blow up on his tower and unleash all of those lava pups because he'd be in trouble if they did.
I think I'm starting to see why FUCHI countered that Goblin Barrel with a miner now. He's got almost no ground-based troops in this deck, relying entirely on the air. He's making a big assault out the right lane, but hasn't connected on the tower yet. I think this miner chip on the left is the only he's gotten so far.
And BERIN has gotten the better of this early exchange. The first minute or so into the game, both of FUCHI's towers have a little bit of a black eye, and BERIN's towers are standing strong.
FUCHI called himself a 6 out of 10 on creativity, but this is certainly a new deck to me. It's surprising a lot of people in the stands here, and I'm sure of those watching at home. Let's see.
What's interesting...
Goblin's not going to get any value. Log rolled through.
What's interesting about FUCHI as a player is he only plays exactly what he needs to play in order to win. Multiple times during the Japanese finals, he would only play like 5 cards or 6 cards in his whole deck and never actually play the last 1 or 2 cards because he just had a cycle that was working and didn't feel the need to mix it up.
Taking a little bit of damage at the left. It's kind of revealing the weakness of this deck that FUCHI's running. So many aerial troops can deal a lot of damage uncontested. You know, BERIN's Knight certainly can't reach those flying machines. But without anything to block those heavy hitters on the ground, he's just taking a little bit of reliable chip damage here, left and right side now down to nearly half hit points.
And now that we're at double elixir time, though, this is going to turn it around a little bit for FUCHI. He has a big tank. He wants to spend a lot of elixir putting together his push, and he's got to get around that Inferno tower on defense. When you have double elixir, you certainly have more ability to do that, and he's got to push through on one side. BERIN, great job keeping up the pressure on the left lane, getting it down to 507 damage left. Zap's going to reset the Inferno tower, giving the Lava Hound a second life here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to punch through 2,000 damage in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was FUCHI's time to shine, but that Inferno tower is shown even brighter, tearing apart that Lava Hound. Left side now down to 507, almost in rocket range. BERIN is getting awfully close. He likely has that as his last and final card in this deck, but the Goblins are going to get it down anyways. BERIN with the 1-0. Clean sweep of FUCHI. Barely takes any damage on either of his towers. Hard countering his opponent and getting himself the upper leg in this best-of-3 match.
And a huge German contingent in the audience is making some noise for their representative. BERIN is 1 game away from advancing, but of course, you know, actually, I think he had a really good deck choice in that first game. Decks like Spellbait that rely on Inferno Tower for defense, and of course cheap splash damage and other defensive cards, live to fight big, slow, tanky decks like what FUCHI brought. Whether it's Giant, Lava Hound, Golem, or even P.E.K.K.A. and Mega Knight, those Inferno Towers are so hard to get through. He did have the Zap to reset it, but the problem was that without Log in his deck, Goblin Barrel almost always was dealing damage, and it just kept chipping him down until finally he was within spell range and couldn't keep up.
Nope. BERIN's one of the best control players in the game, and he certainly seemed calm, cool, and collected on the podium there, playing cards left and right, just enough to counter whatever was coming at him. I think that FUCHI was really relying upon that flying machine to get a bit more value. Yeah. It doesn't see a whole lot of play in competitive events, and you've really got to, snickerdoodle your way, trick your opponent into setting themselves up incorrectly backwards so that the flying machine can chop down those little goblins, finish off the princess without being able to have any tank out in front of her, and then go on the counterattack behind that big Lava Hound. Just seeing it burnt up so many times with BERIN playing both the left and the right side, there was never an opportunity for FUCHI to build up that one big push that he needed.
And it started right from the beginning of the game. We see sometimes players sitting at 10 elixir and just kind of waiting because they don't want to make an overcommitment. FUCHI kind of made that mistake. He put Flying Machine in the left lane, that's 4 elixir. Goblin Barrel comes down on the right. He uses defensive miner, so that's 3 for 3, that's even, but he's already committed 4 to the left lane. You can't just let that go. So he started spending more elixir trying to back it up, and I feel like that's exactly what a control player wants. You overcommit, the control player, BERIN, defends it, gets a resource advantage, and he's pushing through. Here we are, game number 2. BERIN in blue along the bottom, FUCHI in red along the top.
Advantage for BERIN as this best-of-3 match could conclude right here and now if he gets the win. FUCHI needs to turn it around and go for the reverse sweep if he wants to claim this match and move on to the quarterfinals.
Knights coming down in the right-hand lane for both players. The Red Knight's gonna keep that Princess healthy, so Miner has to pop up behind her and give her the shovel to the face.
Does a good job at it. Back up the left lane, don't get a whole lot of damage in though. No tank in front of them. Fuchi sitting at 10 elixir for a little while here. Let's see what his counter's gonna be to this big Goblin Gang out the right. He's got a Goblin Gang of his own. Looking awfully similar in terms of win condition, but BERIN actually has a much heavier deck. That Mega Knight landing on the left side knocks out those Goblins and will go in for a big counter push. Let's see what Fuchi has to knock it down.
And the question for me is, does Fuchi's version of Spellbait play an Inferno Tower? Because Balloon from BERIN is going to pull it over. He has Tesla, so he does have at least a building to pull it over. But it's not shooting the balloon. One drop gets in, and he manages to take it out.
Spirit. I think Christmas came early for Fuchi, and able to throw that little snowball onto the balloon there. Unfortunately, he's going to lose his Princess to the balloon death damage, but looking like he's holding on relatively well here. Not a whole lot of damage for either Fuchi or BERIN just yet in this match.
Can he defend this Princess from the Miner? No.
He's awfully close.
That's why he ignored it.
Tower activation early for Fuchi, and BERIN has made a big error. Super difficult to make a comeback after that big defensive advantage is set up, and Fuchi's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, because now what he can do is use his Tesla towers and other defensive troops, pulling troops into the middle, into the light alley, right cutting through the center of the arena, where all three towers will shoot for a severe amount of damage.
Yeah.
He's got to stop this Inferno Dragon from locking on. Ice Spirit jumps freezing it in place, and Goblin Barrels coming out to do some damage.
Then again, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for BERIN. He's relying more on big, heavy hits from the balloon or the Mega Knight even. He's not too worried about little chippy defensive setups from Fuchi, but it can't help him at all to have the King Tower activated there.
Great Knight placement stops the Mega Knight from leaping onto the Tesla Tower. It's going to hold it in place while the tower just picks away little shots at it.
Nice minor placement from BERIN here. There's actually only a couple of tiles in the corner up there to avoid being shot at by the King, and a great catch as well in the back end. Goblin Gang finishes off the barrel there, but the Princess does get a couple of shots off there, bringing that left side down to 1700. Fuchi has pulled ahead in damage now.
And despite playing very different decks, the damage is near even as the last 30 seconds are counting down. We are in double elixir time, just 20 seconds away from overtime. And if we make it to overtime, the stakes are raised even more because the first tower to go down, that's the winner.
The dangerous thing for BERIN in this situation, though, is even though he wants to apply pressure in that bottom right corner with the Miner to try to prevent the King Tower from locking on, it's really easy for Fuchi to get a read on where that Miner's going to go and try to block it on his own and prevent that damage entirely. Fuchi defending very well against the balloon out here on the left and applying pressure once again out the left. The fact that BERIN is running Zap rather than Log means that he's got nothing to finish off those Goblins with one hit.
Great Tesla Tower mechanic there. Once the Tesla's done attacking, it goes into its little hidey hole. It went underground, and when the balloon blew up, it didn't damage the Tesla Tower, giving you an extra 10, 15, 20 seconds of damage, and now he's got two Teslas out. This is a really hard defensive base to crack. And watch him back in the hidey hole. Princess not so lucky.
Fuchi once again missing with the Goblin Barrel connection, but getting pretty decent value roll in the Log through the Goblin Gang at the left side and shipping it even further down. Haven't seen the 8th and final card in his deck, but it could be a big surprise hit. The Rocket deals a ton of damage, and it's a very popular inclusion in these Log-based decks.
And the Miner gets intercepted by the Goblin Gang, letting the Princess live. She turns and switches onto the balloon while the Tesla Tower takes a few shots. Princess is going to go down again, but I think he's doing a great job holding it off.
BERIN repulsed time and time again. He's yet to connect in a big way, and with 458 on the left side tower, Fuchi with a 6 elixir rocket will wipe it out. 493 and 3 is the name of the game. Fuchi ties up this match 1-1 against Nova's BERIN.
And that was a very impressive performance in Game 2. He struggled a bit in Game 1. I think BERIN had, BERIN actually really dominated Game 1, and the story was almost reversed in Game 2.
Yeah.
Fuchi, his lowest health tower had 1,800 on it as he just methodically chipped down BERIN's tower. And you're right, Rocket 493 damage, you're in overtime, the first tower to go down, you're going to win the game. So as soon as it dropped to 450, BERIN said good game. He knows it's just a matter of time. And once he hits 6 elixir, Rocket comes out, takes the battle, pushes it to game number 3. Very impressive spellbait play there by Fuchi against Mega Knight Balloon, piloted by BERIN.
Bit by bit, chip by chip. I brought an American saying earlier in the game. I think that there's another one that applies here very well. Defense wins games, Rumham.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of damage every once in a while by Fuchi was enough to bring that left side tower down. BERIN did not have the tools in his deck even to be able to knock those Goblins back, to prevent those small little chippy attacks, whereas Fuchi had everything he could have possibly wanted to stop that big Mega Knight, the you know, floating balloon up top that can deal a ton of damage as well. Never really had to worry about it coming for his base.
And Fuchi was able to build up an elixir advantage by doing things like defend his Princess. So I play Princess. Princess is doing great. She's shooting stuff, boo, 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 left and right. When you play Miner for
you make that
elixir,
sound too every time you play Princess.
Yeah,
I've seen you play
I talk when I play. Why not?
Yeah.
Keep the sound on. So Miner comes up 3 elixir. I defend with Goblin Gang. Well, my Goblin Gang equal elixir cost is going to defeat your Miner and then generate even more value, whether it's fighting, you know, the knight you've played on defense, dealing damage to your tower and more. Fuchi just kept doing that over and over again. 4-cost Tesla Tower stops a 5-cost balloon, so on and so forth until eventually he just had that advantage both in damage and elixir to finish the game off. But we are down to a winner-take-all battle, number 3 of this match. After this battle, we'll be halfway through the first round of the World Finals.
Already?
Yes, sir. Fuchi opening up with Giant, the first time we've seen Giant today. 5 elixir, the highest amount of health per elixir cost in the game. If you need something to hold the line, go get your Giant out.
Looks like the Giants be paired up with a lot of flying critters here, but a bad sign for Fuchi as the Executioner comes in to chop them down. He can get great value against minions, whether they're in horde form or just the trio. Nice strike on the right side for Baron, though. He does manage to get a little bit of damage off the right side tower from that Hog Rider. Giant gets a few punches in. Of course, he goes straight for the tower, so he's going to ignore the little troops on the bottom.
Not even a minute into the game, this is an MVP Executioner, and he's already taken out 17 elixir worth of troops before he even crossed the bridge.
Chopping him apart. Fuchi's in a lot of trouble here. It's going to require some very careful play and trying to manipulate the Executioner out of Baron's hand in order to get value. I think he's done a pretty decent job here, though. As the Executioner crosses the bridge, we'll see what Fuchi has to counter him.
Adaptation is the name of the game. We've spent the first minute 20 learning what kind of decks they got. Fuchi's going to play a Giant and back it up with some support troops. He's got the Hog Rider.
My goodness! Huge Executioner swing destroys a minion horde, and the Hog Rider is left alone on the right side tower. That Princess takes a beating as she goes down to 485, and Baron pulls far ahead in this match.
Those are the kind of plays that win Clash Royale World Championships. With his last bit of help, the Executioner pulls a no-scope 360, throws that axe, cleans out a 5 elixir. If that Executioner hadn't done anything else, that would have been an even trade, 5 for 5. It had already earned some value. To take out that minion horde it's reminiscent of when Clyde lost to Chief Pat because his own minion horde blew up from the Golem at the King's Cup 1. Hog Rider's going to finish it off. Baron needs to hold tight for the next 52 seconds in order to move on to the next round.
The unfortunate thing for Fuchi, though, is that he's having to push on his weak lane. Hold on now, this is a split attack, actually. An Ice Spirit to freeze the minions on the left lane, and it seems that a Tornado is going to end his hopes of being able to attack the left side. Still, though, a Giant has already pummeled the right side tower down to 1101. It's possible that Fuchi is actually going to get more damage out of this game than Baron, but the fact that Baron was able to concentrate it all on the right side tower means that it's looking like he's very likely to win in the next 23 seconds.
There is only one hit point that matters, and it is the very last one. Fuchi deals more damage throughout this game, but with 14 seconds to go, Baron just needs to hold on with 1,000 on each tower in order to get away with a win and move on to the quarterfinals.
They say the best defense is also a good offense. Baron is showing that that is true. Hog